Welcome back, boils and ghouls. Remember, if you enjoy these videos, like, comment, and Hulk smash that subscribe button. Tonight, we've got another radio program on the road to the Senate subcommittee hearings on juvenile delinquency. This time, the author meets the critic from August 8th, 1948, starring none other than Fredric Wertham himself. Wertham made several appearances on The Author Meets the Critic, a long-running NBC radio show where authors met their critics and were given an open ground to publicly debate. It's honestly a lot like the last radio show we listened to, America's Town Meeting of the Air. However, The Author Meets the Critic is more about the actual debate of topics as opposed to prepared statements and speeches. While Al Cap provided some interesting insight on the topic as well as some much needed rebuttal in the defense of comics in the Town Meeting episode, he was far from what I would call a competent defender of comics, at least in the eyes of the general public. He was, after all, himself a cartoonist and therefore tainted. Here, the defense of comics is provided by a more than ample and well-spoken figure in the form of Edwin G. Lucas, whose impeccable argumentation and impressive knowledge is nothing short of spellbinding to listen to. Lucas was a lawyer and criminologist by trade, working with the American Society for the Prevention of Crime, who also happened to be an old friend of Dr. Wertham's and openly states as such during his initial comments. One might fear that there would be a conflict of interest here and therefore nothing of value. However, nothing could be further from the truth. Lucas is not only plainly of the opinion that comics play a, quote, non-existent part in children's behavior, but also that Wertham is sensationalizing the subject of comic books for the sake of book sales and notoriety, openly contradicting statements he published only years before. And that's the kicker here. Lucas knows Wertham. He's read his books. He knows what Wertham said, and he rubs it in Wertham's face for 30 minutes. If you've ever wanted to lay into Wertham about his broadly generalized and highly inaccurate claims about comic books, if you feel like punching a wall when you see a picture of the man's face, this recording is going to make you feel a whole lot better. Not only does Lucas simply eviscerate every single argument that Wertham makes or has made about comics, he often does it by quoting Wertham. He draws quotations from an impressive array of Wertham's previous work, including articles for the New York Times, speeches that Wertham had given around the country in the months prior to this, and most notably from Dark Legend, Wertham's first book, which explored the motivations and psychology of murderers. I'm unaware of any digital versions or contemporary reprints of Dark Legend. I'd love to get funding for this channel so I could get some of this stuff and share it with you eventually, but for now, what we do have are the quotes offered here. These excerpts in no small way prove Wertham at one point operated very differently. His scientific and intelligent quotes here, the polar opposite of the wildly subjective supposition that would populate the pages of Seduction of the Innocent. Dark Legend shows that he found there was no corroboration for any evidence that indicated stories or other fantasies or works of fiction supplied by books or film played a role in a person's actions. Basically, Wertham published completely contradictory statements on the same theses back to back. The half-truths and blatant propaganda are here confronted by someone who has known Wertham for years and seems confused and at points even angered by Wertham's apparent abandonment of ethics and morals in search of notoriety and a paycheck. Listening to Edwin G. Lucas speak, he's often gentle and affectionate towards Fredric Wertham, genuinely seeming to attempt to elicit some manner of apology for the blatant lies Wertham is propagating. Wertham in turn flippantly responds by joking his way out of things. Time and time again, however, Lucas is there to use Wertham's own words against him, pin him down, and rub quotations like salt in an open wound. The singular successful argument that is made against Lucas's case, in fact, is provided by the third guest of the show, a pro-Wertham author and actress named Virgilia Peterson. I know little of Peterson or her motivations for supporting Wertham, but she does seem devout, and she does make one good argument about the correlation of education and behavior as a learned trait. It was so successful, it would end up being one of the main arguments brought before the Senate subcommittee hearing on juvenile delinquency. Otherwise, she's extraordinarily ineffectual and boring to listen to. Despite this singular faltering, by the end of the program, I was left wondering why Lucas himself had not been summoned to speak at the Senate subcommittee hearings. I think that if someone like Edwin Lucas and not William Gaines himself disastrously took the stand, we likely could have seen a vastly different outcome to that entire situation. Sadly, that was not to be. However, in this forgotten time capsule, we do see comics' actual boogeyman, Dr. Fredric Wertham, his arguments stripped bare and destroyed in front of a crowd and by a close friend and professional associate, using Wertham's own words against him nonetheless. I would be lying if I said I did not relish the opportunity to share this here with you, but that's enough of this jerk talking. Let's join a regularly scheduled broadcast, The Author Meets the Critic, with this week's special guests, Dr. Fredric Wertham, Edwin G. Lucas, and Virgilia Peterson, already in progress here on WJRK Radio. All jerk, all the time.